the Shy City and around the world. Welcome to another episode of Chicago's Intellectuals Podcast. And today we have seasoned mortgage broker and the author behind The Ultimate Mortgage Guide, Mr. Dante Royster. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
All right, my man. Let's just jump right into it if you don't mind. Tell the world a little bit about your background, like where'd you grow up, where'd you go to school, things of that nature.
Sure. I'm Dante Royster, born and raised in the Chicagoland area. From being a kid, kind of moved around a lot. So a lot of different suburbs, as a kid, and then kind of got settled and went to high school at Nazareth Academy in LaGrange Park. And then I went to decided I wanted to continue to play basketball in college, so I went to a college called McMurray College. Had a good little run there, and they gave me the opportunity to, continue my ambitions of trying to be an NBA star, and then and then that once that writing was on the wall that wasn't going to be my further thing, I settled down just in Chicagoland area, but right now I'm in Brookfield, Illinois.
Right, my man. Uh, what are your values, Dante?
Values. I would say from a value perspective, being honest, being ethical, doing right by others, kind of your Ten Commandments. I still think they play a major role in today's stuff. Do unto others as you want done to yourself. That's kind of a value based. I think we're kind of born to help people. We enjoy it's an innate ability in all of us. We want to help people in ways that we can, and I think we just try to find our own purpose and way in doing so.
So you would consider yourself service oriented.
Yes, yes, I would.
Where'd you get your mindset? Who are some of your early influences?
Obviously, my parents, first and foremost, I had a father, that was always around. He was my father slash coach, so he was always there. My mom, just how she operated things and what she did. She was a teacher, so, obviously an educator for 30 plus years. And she also was, a dance coach, and she always was involved in multiple events. She's still doing events now with the progressives and does fashion shows and, just that kind of coordination. But yeah, I mean, they were the ones that kind of, set the tone and were the role models, obviously, as a kid growing up. And then I think now, if you kind of look just with all the opportunities of just social media and YouTube University, what they have as far as you kind of pick and choose different things that you like from, all the kind of gurus that you see out there that are prominent in our space. So for me, I take a little bit from like a Grant Cardone, a Patrick Bet David, a Ty Lopez. These are just prominent names that, you kind of see in and out. Gary Vaynerchuk, for that matter. And I take little things and kind of molded myself, and then obviously just from people, just walks of life. I mean, sometimes, the reality is that, everyone that you meet you can learn something from.
Yeah,
My friends, business partners, business relationships, I've learned and just kind of molded, who I am, as I am today.
I like that, man. It sounds like you found your area of interest and you found people who are prominent in that area and kind of taken components and tailored it to your own pedagogy, so to speak. So I like that.
Appreciate that.
Listen, tell the world about your career as a mortgage broker. Give us a chronology.
Sure.
We want the kids to see that you can end up being a high level mortgage broker if you so desire. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
that would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, basically, I'm a ground up story. I didn't have any prerequisite. No family member that I know of was a realtor or a mortgage person at all. So, it really was a former athlete interview, going to an interview, and the guy said, "Hey, are you competitive?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, good, if you can get people on the phone, I'll teach you how to sell.
Mm,
And it was really kind of a boiler room-esque, kind of setup, from start, from my beginnings in this business. But it was just a situation where, uh, talking about mortgages and interest rates and, payments per month, that's not really a topic that was, around our dinner table. And as I talk to other people around, that's not really a conversation that is talked to the kids. And so, there's really a lack of knowledge. I didn't even really know what a mortgage was, at the time. I had no clue, like, what is that, But obviously somebody wanted it or needed it, and I just had to figure out if I could help them or not. But, so, from a kid's perspective that's listened to this, it's great opportunities. It's a $1 trillion business, that a lot of people, everyone, the sexy part of real estate is obviously the house. There's a lot of people that enjoy, oh, this has got 6 bedrooms, 2 baths. Hey, this has 5 bedrooms, 1 bath. Oh, look at this. I love the paint or the wall, how things are framed. That's the sexy part. People really do enjoy looking at houses, but the necessary evil for about 80% of America is they have to get a mortgage. There's only so many people that can, afford to buy a house cash, and so they have to get a mortgage. And, it's these rules and regulations that people are unfamiliar with. It's not something that is educated or trained on in school. And, and unfortunately, we graduate high school or we go to college and we graduate and we're like, okay, I want to get one of those. What do I do? And now we're searching for information.
mm,
And, unfortunately, there's pros and cons to the internet, but one of the cons are that, you're getting information from maybe someone that really doesn't do it. They may have the license to do it, but they don't do it at a high level. And so when they don't do it at a high level, they don't have the experiences that it takes to be successful and to know the rules and how to work, every situation to its fullest to make it happen for the people. And so, and I think that's what over time I, from a chronology level, have really gotten to where it's like I have that experience now. I've put the 2 decades worth of time in to deal with multiple people and help different situations out and make it happen. So I can give that knowledge. I can be that voice, on platforms such as YouTube, where now I can say, hey, listen to me. I'm not only talking it, I do it. But yeah, I've been a loan officer when I started off. Got promoted to a branch manager. From a branch manager, I became an account executive. So I was doing presentations around the country, helping mortgage brokers now like myself, teaching them and helping them, close their deals. From there, I came back to being a loan officer, and then obviously saved my money, and I started my own company, Epic Mortgage, in 2019, and we're up and running.
and you're doing a great job, by the way, man. You know,
Appreciate that. Appreciate
just
that.
so the world knows, this is not someone that we picked willy-nilly. This is actually someone that I dealt with personally, right? And he did an exceptional job, man. Talk a
Appreciate
little
that.
bit about the diversity of populations that you've worked with.
Yeah, I mean the demographics. I mean, obviously, from a demographic perspective, majority are always going to look like myself. That's just going to be, what it is. When you are choosing a loan officer, sometimes it's choosing. You always have a choice. I want to say that first and foremost. You always have a choice who you want to work with. It's just the reality is, 48% of people are going to go with what the realtor recommends. And the realtor sometimes will sway you to go with someone that they feel comfortable with, but that's not necessarily who you feel comfortable with. And you have to kind of, I kind of try to educate people to, really, you want to develop your own financial team. You want to have that circle of people around you that you feel confident with, that you trust. Because I can work with anyone. It doesn't matter who the realtor is. It could be Bob, Joe, Lola, Shakina. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And if you have a comfort level that, hey, I'm doing the best for you, then you're going to just feel comfortable all the way through the process. So I have expanded the business from that level. Really the pandemic changed a lot of stuff. The whole pandemic, we were viewed as an essential worker, so we were able to still conduct business and keep everything moving, thank God. But one thing was, it was just a lot of people weren't interested in seeing us, right? We weren't meeting people at that point in time. And so I really, wanted to expand the business to other states. And so we got licensed in 9 states right now. We're currently licensed in 9 states so we're helping people from, out west at Colorado, obviously Illinois, Indiana, Michigan. We're over in Virginia, Maryland, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. And so now we're able to help those people buy primary homes. And, the demographic ranges from an age perspective, it ranges from, a young person, 24 years old, wanting to buy their first time house to, just got off the phone recently right now with a 58-year-old lady trying to buy her first one. Hey, I'm going to be retiring in about 3, 4 years, and I just want to have me something. I was hoping that the houses were going to go down, but I see they're not. So I better jump in and go get that. So, but from, also too, from a race perspective, I deal with everyone, Hispanics, Caucasians, Blacks, and I think, I've always been open to people if they're open to me. I really haven't, shied away from anybody. I want to help as many people that want me to help them.
Yeah. So you said that your company was viewed as essential workers during COVID. How did that come about?
I that's a good question. I have assumptions. I don't know the true answer, but I would tell you, real estate, the industry, is the backbone of the economy, out of the U.S. economy. The impact on one transaction and what it does to so many other industries is tremendous. You just take account if someone we have a young lady buying her first house on Monday, right? So she's going to buy her house on Monday, and who's going to get paid on that, right? We're going to have a title company get paid. We're going to have a realtors get paid. We're going to have an attorney get paid. We're going to have a loan officer get paid. And then, we obviously have the end lender will also get paid. That's five. She's probably going to have to get new appliances. So Best Buy or somewhere like that is going to get paid. She's probably going to need some work, right? Done to it. She wants, oh, I want this painted. I didn't really like that. Can we scrape and paint? So we got to get some painters involved. So that means Menards is going to get paid. A general contractor is going to get paid. So when you look at every transaction is going to probably impact 10 different industries. And
Yes.
so, in a course of a year, you might have over hundreds, if not millions of real estate transactions. And all those transactions, each and every single one, is going to impact 10 different industries. That's why real estate is the backbone of the US economy. And I think that's why we were viewed as essential.
Wow. I never thought about that. Not to mention, you are now locking in people who will need electricity, gas, trash services, water, all of these things. They're locked in. They're not renting. So,
Correct.
so they're going to need. This is pretty much a guarantee over a certain amount of years. So that's,
Correct.
oh man, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. Uh, what are your future aspirations?
It's a great question. It's a great question. I would like to, when we go back to the youth, I'd like to mentor the youth and really introduce them to this great business. It's been great to me, continues to be great. There's challenges. It's not easy, but I would like to continue to mentor the youth. I would also like to, I'm working on it right now. If I could develop some type of school, some type of not-for-profit school is something I'm leaning on. That's my future endeavors because, like I said, the education system doesn't get us prepared for something this essential. This is the biggest expense out of most people's lives, right? No one's going to be buying a 250,000, 300,000, boat, right? The majority won't do that, but they will buy a 300, $500,000 house. And I want to help these people get a little bit more educated. That was the reason for the book. And that's the reason for, obviously, some of the stuff I do on my YouTube channel. But I want to continue to educate people so that they're ready. I saw a study, and I think you can appreciate this. I know you're into studies. Um, I looked up African Americans in particular. Our average credit score is 677.
Wow.
And so, the range from a credit score is obviously 850 is the highest, 350 is the lowest, and that 677 is the lowest out of all ethnic groups. We have the lowest credit score. And so when you think about that concept, you think about, okay, with a lower credit score, what does that mean? Well, yes, you can still buy the house, but you're also going to have a higher interest rate and you're going to pay more fees. And so if there's a way, and and going a little bit deeper into the numbers, 28% of people have a credit score of 680 or less. 28% of people. Now, 28, overall, we're probably saying, well, that's not that bad, 28, but there's 340 million people. So we're talking about 90 million people have a low credit score that are, yeah, they can still get everything that they want from a consumer level, but they're paying higher fees and higher rates. So if I was able to maybe help them in an education platform way to get them prepped and ready, maybe we drop it from 28 to 25. And I feel like I'm doing my part.
We should definitely talk, especially if you're serious about establishing a framework for, spearheading a school, because we need that in our community. We should definitely talk offline about that. Let's talk a little bit about the importance of mentorship. What was your experience with mentorship as a mentee, and how important is mentorship for future generations coming up?
I think it's very important. I think it's become more and more important overall with the perspective of there's so many voices.
Mm.
We've given everyone a platform now.
Yeah,
Everyone is a part of the media. Everyone has their own platforms and their own opinions. And so, it's hard to distinguish, well, who's right and who's wrong. Well, this guy says this. This guy says that. And where'd you hear it from? Well, this guy was on TikTok. He said this. This guy was on Facebook. He said that. So there's a lot of he say, she say, and it's not necessarily always coming from people that I would say that's someone you should be listening to. They might know a little bit, but I question, all their information that they do know because have they put the time in? We talked about time earlier, and time and experience does count. And I don't want to ever distinguish that, and so once, you start to put that time in, and then you have, not to mention just time, but now you start adding experience of how many deals you're doing and how many transactions you've been in. That's a person that I would validate. So I think mentorship is very important as we move forward in the future because there's just so many voices and you don't know who am I supposed to be listening to. Well, this guy said this and that guy said that. So who am I supposed to be listening to? For me, I've had a unique experience where I really didn't have a lot of mentorship directly. It wasn't one guy that was my big brother, and I've been following his footsteps. Like I said, but earlier, I've really have been let me take a little bit here, let me take a little bit there, let me bounce this idea off this, maybe a friend of mine. Hey, you're not in my space, but I'm thinking about this. What do you think? So I've kind of had that committee mindset of using your friends as like, here, I know this is not what you do, but I just want to bounce this off of you and you tell me what you think. And then I'm going to kind of form some opinions, so a lot of note taking, a lot of jotting down ideas, and then really trying to distinguish it in my head. And then that gives me kind of my map, so to speak, to move forward.
yeah. So what you're describing in academia is called kerneling, right? So if
Mhm.
you have like, right, empirical evidence, I should say, and you have several different models, and if you consider each of those models to be like an ear of corn, right,
Mhm.
and you can take a kernel from each model to tailor it to your style, right? So that's really powerful. Um, I called you lately uh, after my recent trip to Africa, right? I was really excited, and I was saying, Dante, do you think there's any way that we can probably formulate a deal? Because I'm interested in some property on the continent, and you provided me with some information that I had no knowledge of concerning the continent, and you told me about Puerto Rico. You remember that conversation?
Yes.
Can you expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Puerto Rico is the next area territory. It's still not considered a state. It should be, but it's not a state yet. But it is the next territory where we're doing lending on.
Mm,
That is an opportunity. So they are doing, regular U.S. financing in Puerto Rico. I'm not licensed there just yet, but it's something to consider. I know I had a client who was she was from here. She was Puerto Rican. She was leaning on actually either moving to Florida or maybe buying up here. Her mom was down in Puerto Rico getting older, so she wanted to be closer. But then obviously she's like, oh, I can buy in Puerto Rico. So she ended up buying down there. So and she just used regular, FHA, conventional. So those opportunities are down there. I see the expansion of the mortgage market. I don't know if it would ever necessarily expand to Africa per se or overseas. But I would not, we have to just wait and see. I mean, that might be something futuristic. For right now, people that are interested in that, we have to look at lines of credit, taking lines of credit out, where those transactions, if they have to be done overseas or abroad, may have to be of a larger down payment using financing that they may have over there or just paying it outright in cash. So lines of credit have become a very useful tool probably from 2022 when the rates kind of doubled on the mortgage rate side. People are using lines of credit as a way to get the cash out to do whatever their next investment endeavor.
How important is it to maintain an excellent credit score?
It's very important. It's very important. You have to play the credit game. And, obviously for, everyone has different experiences. They've had a mom, an aunt, a father, really mess up their credit. And then sometimes you get, so you almost become scared of it, where it's like, oh, I don't want that. But we see so many people that want to be debit card and cash only people, and they got no score
Mm,
or it's judging them back in 2017 when they were still only 17 years old per se. So you have to have credit. You have to establish at least three lines of credit, open and active, and they have to maintain that. So when you say open and active, I'm talking about something that's revolving like a credit card. We want to have three credit cards because they don't close as long as you use them once every 6 months. And then you can show the ability of paying something on time. But that's how you're going to get a high credit score. And then we know that, hey, every credit card has a credit limit, and we want to stay 30% or less on the credit limit. That's the best opportunity for someone to maintain a good credit score.
okay. And let's say hypothetically that I'm a person with a 790 credit score, and I'm looking to sustain that over a period of time, 5 years or better. What is your best advice?
Sustaining a credit score of 790 for 5 years or better.
Yes, 790 or higher. Yes.
I mean, truthfully, if you're above 760, you're good.
Mm,
So 760 to 850, it's the same thing. It doesn't really matter. But really all it is just like I said, just maintaining credit limits, 30% or less, paying everything on time. You should sustain that. Showing the ability to pay off some things, so it just depends. It always is going to be case by case because it depends on what's on your credit. Some people have car loans, some people have student loans, if a student loan is deferred, it doesn't help you, it doesn't hurt you, it just stands there as a debt that you're not paying on. So it doesn't provide any stability or any really intel on can you pay something on time. So, we have to look at what loans do you have out? Do you have credit cards? Do you have installment loans like a car? Are you paying them on time? And obviously, over time, organically, your score will always increase because you've shown the ability to pay some things off and to maintain your credit score. That's
Yeah.
probably the best thing I say. It's really just paying things on time, having a different, credit scores. When you break down credit scores, 35% of credit scores is based on credit history. So they look at the longevity of how long you've had something. Then they want to look at the credit balances. What are your ratios between your balances that you owe to the limits that you have? Then they'll want to look at, what type of credit. And then they want to look at, what type of credit increase. But I know this, you've never had a credit bureau call you and say, hey, why did you pull your credit? So there's a lot of assumption that is made, when they see the credit inquiry. So when you pull your credit with five different mortgage companies, well, they assume you probably don't qualify,
Mm.
and so that's when you see an impact on your credit score dropping because it's like, well, hey, I understand maybe one or two in a 15 period time frame. I don't understand five. You might not qualify for something then.
Right, right. This is very pertinent information, and I ask you these questions so that the audience can get the answers right.
Sure.
uh, this is basically, in my mind, financial forensics 101. Right? Winding down a little bit, man. What does Dante Royster read?
Oh man. Well, I just read Bill Perkins. Um, Bill Perkins has a book. Oh man, it's blue. Power. It's not, well, I'm reading like this Zero series. So I read the book The Power of Zero, and then Bill Perkins was talking about like dying with zero. So it's just a concept. We're kind of torn from a financial freedom, right? We all kind of want to get to a financial freedom, or at least I am. I'm trying to get to a point where you have enough resources where you can make the options. You want to get choice back in your life,
Mhm.
but so choice is kind of, you know, we're kind of put into this game of monopoly, whether we want to play it or not. And the game is we have to accumulate enough resources, i.e. money, to one day have a choice to do I want to continue to work or do I not want to work? And you just want to have the choice, not to say, hey, I know people that are 70 plus still working. And maybe they're not working their first career, but they're on to their second career. They're on to, doing some non-for-profits or they're mentoring young adults, So everyone, just wants to still maintain a purpose in life, but you just want to have the choice. Do I have to be, a welcome greeter at a store or can I, travel? And it's all based on how much money you're able to accumulate. And so the concept is, with these, the book in particular, Dying with Zero is talking about, this YOLO mentality, you only live once, versus this, good steward of saving money. And just the kind of the fight between the two concepts. There's no right or wrong on either end, but you do have to kind of enjoy life. Don't let life just pass you by. You only get one life that we know of. And so you really want to enjoy the life that you have, but you also want to be a good steward of, well, you have to find a way to save money so you can have enough one day so you can have these choices. Because without that money, you're always having to work.
So you
And
don't
so
want,
it,
yeah, you don't want
yeah,
work to be a necessity all of your life.
correct. Correct. And I think, one thing that I would say, and especially to the audience, there's been a transition. There's been a lot of gurus out there. When we talk about money, it's been defense. Defense, 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 protection. Oh, don't spend, don't overindulge, don't spend too much and all that stuff. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily work
Mm.
because usually like I don't have anything more that I'm willing to cut. There's a lot of people out there. I know you may have the sentiment, man, I work too hard not to be able to have this little fun right here.
Yeah, man.
I deserve this.
Yes.
And I've had people say that I deserve this, Dante. You know how hard I work? I'm dealing with these kids, XYZ. I deserve this. So I'm a supportive person of that. If you deserve it, then go get it. I just think we should have more of an offensive mentality of like, let's just make more money.
Yeah.
You can have all these funds, but let's go make more and let's find ways that we can do it. And obviously, real estate would be an area that I'm familiar with.
What type of music does Dante listen to?
Man, music. Man, I'm more of an R&B guy. Yeah, definitely. I think I was listening to. I had some Luther Vandross, some Donnell Jones. I can go. I think I was listening to MJ. Obviously, R. Kelly back in the day was the jam. I can go John Legend, but yeah, I'm more of a R&B guy. I can get into. I'm checking out this Doechii. I know she's new on the scene. I'm trying to listen to that a little bit, see what she's talking about. But yeah, R&B, rap, that's my thing.
My man. Do us a favor and give a message to the youth, Dante.
If you do nothing, nothing will happen.
Hmm,
And if you do something, something will happen. And let's just keep it that simple. So, I mean, I'm a doer. I believe in the now, the power of the now. Stop waiting. I think sometimes we get paralyzed on, oh, what should I do? And then you don't do anything. So, be assertive and make it happen.
I love it. I love it. Listen, man, it's been an exceptional interview. For the final segment of our interviews here, I always like to afford our guests to tell a story of their choice. The segment is called Big or Small. I got a story to tell, whether it's big or whether it's small. Now is your time as we close. Story of your choice.
Yesterday, I made a phone call to a couple, and it was a husband and wife. I've been working with them since January 10th. That's when they were introduced from their accountant. Their accountant called me and they wanted to do a cash out refinance on a 6 unit building. And so basically, this couple, you know, jokingly, but not jokingly, straight out of the 80s and 90s, and we're in 2025. And so the way they conduct business is just not how it's conducive to the how the banks want it.
Mm,
And I had to hold their hand and walk them through, and obviously they were they weren't fighting, but they didn't understand why is all this grief. And sometimes when people are giving you a hard time, we want to pull the race card out. And I
mm,
was like, no, no, it's not. I'll tell you if it's race, but it ain't race. Some of these banks and lenders, obviously at the end of the day, they have an expectation of how you're supposed to be living. And when you don't live that expectation, they have questions.
mm.
And we just have to walk through this battle and knock out these questions. And they twisted and they turned and they fussed. And yesterday's phone call was, hey, we're clear to close.
Wow.
And on Monday they'll be able to close and get that cash out, tax-free money, to embark on whatever future endeavors that they have. And it was just a blessing that I was able to do that, and that was a feel-good story.
Wow. Well, and you know I can relate, man. I mean, it wasn't that challenging for me, but there's a lot asked of you during that process, right?
Correct.
Either you're going to acquiesce or, you need to find ways to pay in cash.
Facts. Facts. Yeah, I mean it's just the name of the game. I mean,
Yeah.
and that's kind of my skill set has been I was able to understand what they're asking for and try to work and just structure it in a way so we can get it done. And I just try to do the best I can. But yeah, the friction sometimes comes with, you want this, well, you're going to have to necessarily follow their rules and follow the steps or pay cash.
Pay cash, right? Hey, listen, man, it's been a great, great interview. Very, very informative. I appreciate you taking out time in your precious day to spend with us, man, and provide us with the information that you have. Please share with the audience your YouTube and your social media handles.
Yeah, social media handles definitely Dante Royster at Dante Royster. You can find me DanteRoyster. The YouTube channel is Epic Spotlight. So EPIC Spotlight. We have a podcast, and then I do mortgage tips on a weekly basis just to provide information and knowledge. So definitely check me out there, Epic Spotlight.
You're quite busy, man. I never miss any of those tips. He sends those tips out. You can believe that. Boy,